So we have been discussing greedy algorithms, and in the previous session we have discussed that uh, what is the methodology in general, and what are the problem statements or category of problem statement which can be solved using greedy. So greedy is basically a technique which is purely based on uh, the current situation. So currently whatever looks best or whatever is an optimum, that should be your selection criteria, and then you will be keep on doing this till you receive your final solution. As the one of the property of greedy says that greedy will not give you the guarantee of optimal solution, but it will always give you the guarantee of suboptimal solution. Now, when I say optimal and suboptimal, we have also discussed what it means. Let us continue with that discussion. These are some terminologies which is to be understood first, not just for a greedy algorithm, but in general. These are the generic terminology, but mostly it is used with any optimization algorithm. So the first definition is feasible solution. Now, technically, a feasible solution is a solution obtained when the algorithm terminates, such that none of the input condition violate. Now, in order to understand this, I will continue with the same example which we have discussed in the previous session, that we want to find out the shortest path with respect to distance from Surat railway station to C.K. Pithal Engineering College, and the constraint was that you have to travel by car. That was the constraint. So feasible solution means it's a solution which indicates that none of the input condition is violated. So any path on which car can travel, from source point Surat railway station to the destination point CKPCET can be considered as a feasible solution. So the only concern over here is that conditions should not be violated. It means that you cannot select a path on which only bike can go, a car cannot go. So that kind of a path or subpath has to be ignored whenever you are saying that some solution is a feasible solution. I hope you understood the situation. I hope you understood the concept. A feasible means a solution can be arrived, and solution is only arrived when you have not violated any input condition. Second is optimal solution. Now you have a series of feasible solutions. That means you have a solutions which are not violating your conditions or the constraint. Example, when you are traveling from station to college, you have one path via Atwa Gate, you have another path via Udna Magdalla Road, you have another path via a BRTS road which runs just parallel to Udna Magdalla Road. So these are the three feasible solutions. Out of this, now you will check for which path or for which particular solution the optimization function is maximized. It means that if my optimization function is to minimize distance, then out of these three paths, I will simply measure the distance of each of this. Let's say one is 21 kilometer, another is 21.5 kilometer, and the third one is, let's say, 22.3 kilometer. So now, which solution is optimal solution? Optimal solution is one for which optimization function is maximized. Now, optimization function is maximized means that you are actually getting the desired result in the most efficient manner. Now here my optimization function is to minimize distance. So that means out of these three routes, I will select, or the optimal solution is a route which has having minimum distance. Similarly, if my objective function was to minimize the time requirement, then again I will find out at some point of time in a day what is the time required via I travel via route A, I will travel via route B, time required via route C, and then I will again say the optimal solution is in route B if it has minimum time requirement. So that is what we mean by optimal solution. It is, again, it's a subset of feasible solution only. That means any of your feasible solution can become optimal solution. But the condition over here is that your optimization function should be maximized. So that is, if any of solution has that property, then you can say that solution is an optimal solution. The third one is suboptimal solution. Now, I told you yesterday, in the previous session as well, that it is not necessary that every time you will get an optimal solution when you are solving an algorithm using greedy, because greedy never gives you the guarantee of optimal solution. But alternatively, it always gives you the guarantee of suboptimal solution. What is that suboptimal solution? It's basically a feasible solution which is very close to optimal solution. So when I talk about the same example, if one route is taking 23 kilometer, if another route is taking 22.5 kilometer, if another route is taking, let's say, 24 kilometer, then your optimal solution is 22.5, but your 23 kilometer can become your suboptimal solution, which is very close, very near to your optimal solution. However, again, this is subjective. This is not, it's not just a numeric which decides. There is nothing like what should be the difference between optimal and suboptimal solution. What should be the minimum difference between these two? No, nothing like that will be there. So whatever suboptimal, it's a very generic term. So a solution which you derive via greedy algorithm, which is very close to your optimal solution, is a suboptimal solution. And the last one is an approximation algorithm. Now, because here you are not actually achieving the optimal solution, so whatever algorithm you are applying over here, it's called an approximation algorithm. It's an algorithm which gives you, or which by which you can obtain the suboptimal solution. And that's why it is called an approximation. Approx means you are actually it's not the accurate one. It's not very much near to what you are desiring, but it's an approximation of what you are actually expecting. So that is the fourth definition. In many of the subsequent topic, you will find this term. So you should understand it carefully. Feasible means any solution which do not violate the constraint. Optimal means one of the feasible solution for which optimization function is maximized. So whatever your goal is achieved in the best possible way, that is optimal solution. Suboptimal means that it is a solution, one of the feasible solution, which is very near to your desired solution, that is your optimal solution. But still you are okay with suboptimal solution as well. That is what it falls into. An approximation algorithm is an algorithm which can be used to derive a suboptimal solution. So that was about this four definition. Now let us quickly go through this control abstraction of greedy. Now let us try to first understand what do we mean by control abstraction. Abstract, you have come across this word abstract. Abstract means the concise summary of something. So it basically gives you an overview of a brief glimpse of something, like you write an abstract in your project report. So that gives you what is the motivation, what the work you have done, what are the results and outcome, what is the future scope. Everything will be there within a single paragraph. So that is called a summary of your work. By looking at the abstract, you can actually easily guess, or you can easily understand what is there inside or what is the detail inside. Similarly, control abstraction over here means that it's a generic algorithm. It's a generic technique, a greedy technique. Now, any greedy algorithm you will take, you will come across these terms. or this will be the methodology, this will be the way to deal with whenever you are discussing greedy. So let us try to understand it first. This is an algorithm. Most of the optimization algorithm will have some series of inputs. Obviously, you are always going to optimize something. So you will have some set of input data. So A is that set, the length of that is n. So A from 1 to n contains your input set. Initially, you will begin with your solution with the null set. That means you are assuming that solution is not yet arrived. So obviously you don't have any solution at this point. Now you will simply run a for loop or a while loop, or can be any loop. Basically here you are actually going through each of these input. So for I equal to 1 to n, you will have some selection function, right? So any greedy algorithm, I told you that greedy believes or it makes a decision based on the current situation. So that decision logic, that decision making logic goes inside this selection function. So how you are going to take the decision? That's the logic which is defined via selection function. So again, while selecting this, you are not worried about the future impact. You are only looking at the input. Remember, you are not looking inside the solution. That means you don't have an access to the solution over here. You are simply looking into the input. So you will have some selection function that will give you some value x. Now you will check that x against the solution which you have arrived till now, and you will find whether it's feasible or not. So you will have another function which is called a feasible function. The objective of this function is to check the constraint violation. I told you that feasible solution is a solution which is obtained when algorithm terminates, but without violating any input condition. So similarly, that is being checked by this. So let's say let's understand the same example. You have started your solution. You have started your source data point are let's say railway station, then say Delhi Gate, then say Udna Darwaja, then Majura Gate. Then these are your input points, for example. And you will start your selecting the first point. Obviously, that point is let's say station, and then you will select the next point. Now next point you have selected is let's say Sara Darwaja. That means you are going via ring road and you have not taken the main road. So it means your next point is Sara Darwaja, and then you are applying the feasibility check. Now what is that feasibility check? You will check whether there is a road which can on which can I have or can I drive via car, because my constraint is that I have to travel via car only. So you have selected X, but then that X will be checked or verified or validated against the constraint on which you are trying to solve this algorithm. So you will have some feasibility check over here, and if it is found that solution is feasible, then you will simply add that into your solution, that is your final solution. So you will keep on doing this till you receive your final solution, or till you traverse through all the data points which you have, or till your selection function does not returns anything. There can be any condition, there can be any break condition to break this loop, but ultimately after running over this loop, what you will have is a solution, and this solution will be suboptimal solution. You might be wondering that where is the intelligence over here? I am just checking the feasibility. That intelligence lies inside this. That's why I told you that business logic of your algorithm goes inside that selection function. So this is a control abstraction. Any greedy algorithm will have similar kind of behavior, similar kind of look. If you observe, you can relate any algorithm with this algorithm easily. Only thing which you need to remember is that should be some selection function and that should be some feasibility check. And then you can see over here, once you have added some x into the solution, you are never going to change the solution. You are not removing anything from the solution. If you check this, at any point of time, you are not removing any value from solution. It means that there is no reverse gear. There is no backtracking over here. Once you have selected something, it's there, it's form, it's final. So that's what greedy means. It's all the decisions which are made are irreversible. Okay. We'll skip this and I will straight forward. You will go to the first problem statement, which is the most I should say a very popular problem statement, a knapsack problem. You will have or you will face this problem, or you will try to solve this problem with different techniques. So you will solve it using dynamic programming as well. You will solve it using greedy as well. You will solve it using backtracking as well. So this problem is same, but obviously there are two versions of it. But again, we'll try to understand the method by considering this problem. So I consider this as a base problem of any optimization problem statement. So it's called a knapsack problem. Let us first try to understand what the problem is. Then we will go through this terminology. Okay. Knapsack problem is it's not actually, even though the concept is very sound, but the domain in which it is being discussed is not that good. It's not ethical. So let's try to understand this. You have a thief going inside a supermarket. So basically चोर गया है वहाँ पे एंड उसके पास एक बैग है और he wants to steal something from that supermarket. Now remember, it's a supermarket, so almost it founds everything. He is starting from 5 rupees Parle-G to 1 lakh iPhone. Everything is there in that supermarket. That is what we consider. So now there is a thief, there is a supermarket, and it's a supermarket, so there are list of items or objects, you can say. Now each of this object has some value associated and some weight associated. Value means you can say a price or a rate of it, and weight means actual weight of that object. So if you take a 5 rupee Parle-G, then it's around 70-80 grams. If you take an iPhone, then it's around 150 gram. So that's what it means. So that is weight, and value means 5 rupees for Parle-G and 95,000 for iPhone. So that is value. So now you have a thief, you have a store, you have a list of items in that store, and each item has some value and some weight associated. Now because he is a thief, he wants to steal something so that he can run away and do whatever he wants. Obviously, he can't just pick entire superstore. He is not Hanuman, so he will not take the entire superstore with him. So obviously, he needs a carry bag in which he will put the things and try to run away with that bag. That is called knapsack. So he has a knapsack. Now, but that bag is also having some capacity. There may be, their capacity actually is also talks about the capacity of bag, you can say, or you can also say the capacity of thief as well. The total weight that thief can carry on his shoulder, or you can say a total weight a knapsack can carry through or a bag can carry. So there is a restriction. Total weight is restricted. So that means that thief cannot take each and every object or each and every item from that supermarket into a bag and then can run away. No, it's not possible. So there is a limitation, there is a restriction, and that restriction lies in the weight a bag can carry. That means a knapsack has a capacity. So I hope you understood the scenario. So now again I am repeating, there is a superstore, there is a thief, there is items in the superstore. Each item has some value, some weight association, and then a thief has a bag or a knapsack, and that knapsack also has some capacity or constraint. So now the problem is, what should a thief carry in his bag so that the total profit value of that bag or the items within that bag is maximized. That is my objective. So what is the problem statement now? Problem statement is to identify or to select those items from the superstore such that the total profit earned by that item is maximized. At the same time, there is a constraint which says that the total weight of a knapsack has some restriction. So I hope you understood the scenario. What is the problem statement? What is available? What are the restrictions? So now let us try to put it in some formal way. These are called problem formulation, and you will find it everywhere. In every algorithm related problem statement, you will find this kind of a formal definition of a problem statement. Basically, this is the definition of problem statement only. So, and interestingly, if you have been asked in any exam or in any problem statement or any question related to knapsack problem, if you try to write this, then also you will get at least 1 mark, even if it is a 6 to 7 marks question. The reason for that is that it indicates that you have understood the problem clearly, because solution is the secondary. First, we need to understand the problem itself. It's similar to what we face daily in our life, that in order to solve any problem related to life, first you need to understand the problem itself. So then you can think about what should be the solution, how do I solve it, etc., etc. But the first step is to understand the problem. So here we are trying to do that. What is being given? You have been given n objects and one knapsack. Knapsack is a bag. Now each of these n object has some weight and some value association. So you can say that object I, that means any object belongs to n. Let's say the name of that object is I. Then there is a weight association. So Wi is a weight of object I, and Vi, that is the value of object I. Value means price in our example. Otherwise, you can say a profit, which is related to the profit. And weight is related to the capacity of knapsack. Along with this, you have been given a capacity of knapsack. Let's say it's capital W. So you have small wi, it indicates the weight of object I. Small vi indicates value of object I. Capital W indicates the capacity of knapsack, or you can say a maximum load a knapsack can carry. Then the problem statement can be stated as fill a knapsack with objects such that first, profit is maximized. Now, how do we define profit? Profit is obviously associated to value Vi. So, you are interested in finding Xi. We'll see what do we mean by this X. But you will simply go through all the objects. So, for I equal to 1 to n, you will find out the summation of Xi into Vi. Vi, we know Vi means that value of object I. Then what is Xi? Xi indicates, now there are two variations, we will discuss those variations. Xi indicates the component which tell us that whether we have chosen that object or not. Now if it's now there are two versions of it, we'll discuss that later, but just now you consider that Xi indicates whether you have selected object or not. So that is what Xi means. So if you have selected the object, then obviously you will gain the value of it. So that's why we multiply these two. and then we perform a summation of all of this selection, that will give us the total profit. So we want to maximize this. So that's why we write profit, which is this, is to be maximized. So that is my optimization function. However, there is a constraint, and what is that constraint? Subjected to, if I check or if I take the object I, then I will gain value Vi, but at the same time, it will occupy weight Wi. So it means the constraint is that there is a capacity of a knapsack. It means that now my Xi into Wi and summation of all such objects should be less than or equal to capital W. Capital W is the capacity of that knapsack. I hope you understood the problem statement. There are n object, one knapsack. Each object has weight and value. The weight is given by Wi, value is given by Vi. Then there is a capacity, capital W. Objective is to maximize the profit. Profit can be derived or calculated by this summation of all the object which have been selected, or sorry, summation of value of all the object which has been selected. That selection is being given by this factor or this number. We will see what exactly it means. And when you're selecting that particular object, because you are gaining the value, it will also require the weight. And finally, the total weight a current knapsack is having has to be calculated by this, and it has to be less than or equal to capital W. That is my input constraint. I hope you understood the each and every term in this particular problem statement. Anything which you want to ask? Or let me first discuss what is Xi, then you can ask the question. Okay. Now we have said that Xi indicates the selection of that object. Now how do we select, or how can we select that object? Now there are two variations. The object can be something which can be chosen always in form of a binary. The classical example is, now forget about superstore. Assume that the thief is going into the jewelry store. So now you have ornaments, you have gold biscuits, as well as you have gold powder as well. So in the same store you have gold biscuits, gold powder, some ornaments. There are lots of things which are related to which is an item for our case. Now there are two variations. First variation is that the object can be chosen or can be selected in fraction as well. If it's a gold dust or gold powder, then it's a fractional case, because you can fill your knapsack fractionally as well with that particular gold dust, because you can, let's say if you have a space for, let's say 67 gram of gold in your knapsack, you can simply choose 67 gram of gold dust and you put it in a knapsack. That is possible. But let's say there were no gold dust, either it was a biscuit or it was an ornament, then it's case of a 0-1 knapsack. Because if now your knapsack has a capacity of 75 gram, then there is no ornament of 75 gram. So either you can take a biscuit of 10 gram each, so you can take 8 such biscuit, so that will make it 80 grams. But there is no capacity of 80 grams, so what you are supposed to do, you have to take only 7 biscuit. So you can take 70 gram biscuit only. Now again, there is no object which can be filled or which can be selected, because all the object after that is having the weight greater than 5 grams. So now in that case, finally, even though there are objects available for selection, but you cannot select it, because the case of, or because the variations, or because of the selection is binary only. Binary means either you can select it or you can drop it. So it's a 0-1 knapsack, or there is a case of fractional knapsack. Fractional means you can take any part of that object into a knapsack, and 0-1 means that either you can select the object or you can skip that object. So these are the two variations. The reason we are discussing two variations because uh, due to these variations only, uh, we can decide what designing technique should be used when you are solving a knapsack problem. Okay, so fractional knapsack. Now let us try to understand the term xi, which we have taken over here. If it's a case of a fractional knapsack problem, then the value can be anything between 0 and 1. Any value between 0 and 1. That means either you can skip that object, that means 0, or you can take it entirely, that means 1, or it can be taken as a fraction of that object. Let's say 0.5 of that object. That means you have taken half of it, or 1/3, or 2/3, or 1/4, or 2/5, whatever it can be. It can take any value between 0 and 1. That's why it is called a fractional knapsack problem. But the other version where value of xi, it's small xi only, the value of xi can be either 0 or 1. So either all or none, it's a similar kind of a case. Now, these are the two variations. Now, out of these two variations, the first variation has greedy choice property, but the second does not have any greedy choice property. And that's why 0-1 knapsack problem cannot be solved using greedy. When we say cannot be solved, it means that it will not give you the optimal result. So you should use another technique. It doesn't mean that it can't be not be solved. It can be solved using the same technique which is solving fractional knapsack as well. But if you try to solve 0-1 knapsack using greedy algorithm, it will not give you optimum result. And because the reason is that 0-1 knapsack does not have any greedy choice property, whereas fractional knapsack has a greedy choice property. What is that? That is given by value density. Now we'll discuss that term later, but let me first ask you, is there any doubt till this point? Yes. Anyone wants to ask anything? Okay. So let us now try to. Okay. So basically, variation means that it's the same problem statement, but we are operating in a different domains. One domain is such that you can take a fraction of the object. In another domain, you can't take a fraction of an object. As I told you that if you are going into the supermarket, let's say you can't just break an iPhone and you take just battery and display of it, because your knapsack can carry only 50 gram. And that is what the weight of your battery and display. That is not possible because you can't break the iPhone over there in the superstore while you are actually stealing something, because you are always in hurry. But in case of let's say you are visiting some jewelry shop and you are finding some gold dust, gold powder, so you will simply just keep on putting your gold dust into a knapsack till your knapsack is full. So that means you can take a fraction of that object into a knapsack. That's why the first version says a fractional knapsack problem. It means that your final outcome, that is xi indicates the selected object. So that value of xi can be anything between 0 and 1. But whereas in case of 0-1 knapsack, the value of xi will be either 0 or 1. That means either you have selected that object or you have skipped that object. Whereas in case of fractional knapsack, you can also take the part of an object depending on your, if you are interested in that object, then you can also take the part of it and you can fill it with knapsack. Let me give a more understanding about this. What is that part we means? We means that you can take a fractional part or something like that of an object and you put it in a knapsack, which is not allowed in 0-1 knapsack problem. Now let us try to, I should not say solve it because now there is no time to discuss the entire algorithm, but let us try to understand how can we solve this. Yes, I want your input on that. And I hope you understood the problem statement. What is the best way to go? Imagine that you are a thief. Then which item will be selected first? Yes, I need your input. Having minimum weight and high price, right? So let it become more specific. You have a Parle-G and iPhone which you will be selecting. What are the other people are doing? But now let us say you have a iPhone 6s and Google Pixel 5 or 4, whatever is your latest edition. Yes. Or let us make it more complex. Now you have a Parle-G 200 grams and Britannia Good Day 180 grams. See, obviously that is not always straightforward because the reason is, or let us say it now reverse, that you have a Good Day 150 grams and Parle-G 120 grams. Because now you have higher weight and lower profit. So my point is that it's not that straightforward. You have to consider the value against the weight. So obviously, if you are taking that the minimum unit of weight is gram, then you have to compute how much value I am going to get for a single gram of any object. So that is called value density. So if you are gaining, let's say 10 rupees for a Good Day against the 120 gram, so you will simply divide 10 by 120. That will give you per gram value. You will compute it for another object as well. That will also give you per gram value. And obviously, whichever object is giving you the higher per gram value will be selected because your objective is to maximize the profit. And profit can only be maximized if you are taking or if you are carrying the more items which has higher values compared to the items which has a lower value. But that value is not, cannot be straight away compared because there is a weight association as well. So it means in order to come to the conclusion of for any object, whether it's to be selected against another object or not, first step is you need to compute the value density. It is called value density. Otherwise, you can also say a value per weight. And that is actually is a greedy choice property, and that will actually help you for selecting object out of all the objects are available. So that I think we'll be discussing in the next class. The algorithm to solve knapsack problem we'll be discussing in the next class. If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, stop here.